Yo, what's up everyone? Back for a Fanduel video for today. Been getting a lot of requests to make a Fanduel video. So I had some free time today, so went ahead and put together some plays that I like. So let's get right into it. You can drop a like and subscribe before we get started. At pitcher on Fanduel, there's a bunch of options. It's different than DraftKings in that Castillo's the second priced option. You have Kershaw as the most expensive guy. Then you have Castillo. Then you have Snell. Then you have Giolito, which I like. Giolito is the fourth highest option. With him being so closely priced to Paxton, I'm just going to go ahead and plug in Giolito here. And if you want to know the difference, if you want to see the difference between the both sites, Musgrove is 8,300 on FanDuel. He's like 50-something on DraftKings. So definitely if you want to play Musgrove, I would play him on DraftKings. But I like Giolito here, 9,100. He's been a little shaky as of late, but he's faced a couple of really tough matchups. I mean, look at his last 5 matchups. Yankees, Cubs, Red Sox, Twins, Cubs. Gets a nice softer matchup here against the Royals team, which he has had a lot of success against this season with a 66 spot on FanDuel. And he put up like 23, but that was when he left the game with an injury. So in April 17th, he put up 23, but he left with an injury. He was in line to have a monster start in that one, and then he put up a 55 spot as well against this Royals team. So he's just owned this team, and I think it can happen again. He's at a fair price tag, especially on FanDuel. Give me Giolito there at 91. Now, if you want to know the funniest price tag ever, this guy should be 75% owned in cash. Jock Peterson here is only $2,600, and now that he's first base eligible on FanDuel, seems like a really, really amazing play today. And I'll show you here on Plate IQ, which I like to use a little bit just to see how the hitters do against the pitches. He absolutely mashes Zach Eflin's pitches. Eflin has not been good to lefties. 280 ISO given up to lefties this season with just an 18% K rate. Eflin throws his fastball 47%. Jock Peterson has an incredible 319 ISO against the fastball. Jock also crushes the slider, which is Eflin's second main pitch. He has a 325 ISO against the slider and the sinker as well. 340 ISO against the sinker. Only pitch he doesn't do that well against is the changeup, but Eflin only throws at like 10% to lefties, 11% to lefties. But the other 3 pitches, 90% of the pitches that he throws, Peterson absolutely crushes with a 319 ISO plus against them. At only 2,600, he is my favorite play at that catcher first base spot. Shortstop, I'm once again just going to go with Corey Seager. I just like the price tag on him a lot at 3,100. So cheap. Have him in the range of like Newman, Simmons, Gregorius. I think he sticks out here. He hasn't been hitting the ball well since he's come back from his injury, but it's not like he's striking out a ton. He's still making some contact, just not finding the holes. But against righties, I'll definitely play him. He has a ton of power and just hits the ball really well against righties. He also hits Eflin's pitches super well. So if we look here, lefty here, Seager has a 205 ISO against the fastball, which is respectable. Slider, he hits that well too. 248 ISO against the slider, which is like the third highest on the team. And if he can hit the changeup a little bit, solid 176 there. And the sinker, if he gets some of those pitches, 193 ISO for him against the changeup. So I like Seager. If you looked at my DraftKings video, I showed you the splits on Fangraphs. But all these Dodgers hitters, they faced Eflin like 1 or 2 starts, and they all have really good numbers against him. It's a limited sample size, but they also get a huge ballpark upgrade going to Citizens Bank Park. I think that they're going to show out today, so I'm really high on the Dodgers lefties, specifically the cheap ones. And Seager and Peterson are both incredibly cheap on FanDuel. In the outfields, give me Luplow. Well, I'll start off with Benintendi. 3,300 for Benintendi. I like him. He's very cheap compared to the other Red Sox players. He hasn't been having an incredible season by any means, but I do like targeting some lefties against Trent Thornton just because he gives up a lot of power to lefties. And Benintendi has stolen base upside with like 9 steals on the season. So if you look here against lefties, Trent Thornton is giving up a 235 ISO against lefties, just a 123 ISO against righties. Feel like some of the lefties on the Red Sox, Devers and Benintendi, are my favorite plays from the left side of the plate. He throws his fastball a ton. Benintendi can definitely hit the fastball. 230 ISO there. And his next highest pitch is a slider. Benintendi has a 224 ISO against the slider. And the curve, Benintendi is decent at that too, 176. So he also hits Trent Thorne's pitch as well. Benintendi is much better against right-handed pitching, as you would expect. I like him quite a bit at only 3,300, very cheap. And last but not least, give me Jordan Luplow. Showed you the numbers for him on the DraftKings video against lefties. Just so good. Daniel Norris is terrible. The Indians have a 6+ total, and Luplow's only 2,500 projected to back cleanup. Just a really, really good play, I think, especially on FanDuel where he's in dirt cheap. And if you look here, he hits the fastball incredibly well, and that is what Daniel Norris throws the majority of the time. Just an 18% K rate on the season. Against righties, he has a 19% K rate, giving up some power as well. Throws his fastball a ton. And Luplow has the highest ISO, well, second highest behind Roberto Perez, but had a 422 ISO against the fastball, 38 batted ball events. Really, really good number there. And if you get a couple sliders, he can hit that as well, 333 on that. Not a huge sample size, but he definitely has a lot of power against lefties with over a 300 ISO this season and batting over 300. I like Luplow a ton, and I think the Indians also make for a nice stack. If you look here, all their hitters hit the fastball particularly well, and they're also are pretty cheap. Like some of the outfielders on this team is very cheap. Bowers is cheap. Even if it's a lefty-lefty matchup, that'll just lower his ownership, and Bowers actually has more home runs and higher ISO against lefties this season. Well, not more home runs, but he has more home runs in like smaller number of at-bats. He has like 5 home runs. Against lefties, a 198 ISO. Yeah, he can definitely hit the fastball, so can Luplow. Perez makes for a nice catcher option. Kipnis. I like the Indians. They are also, they mash Daniel Norris's pitches. They're also are pretty cheap, especially like Jose Ramirez on FanDuel. So yeah, those are some FanDuel picks that I like. Get you a little head start on FanDuel. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Drop a like if you did, and good luck to